Hello, ladies and gentlemen. So we have another tragedy, unfortunately, and it is a horrible shooting that happened in a synagogue. And I'm sure people have seen it. If you haven't, turned on the news. Some people don't watch the news because it's really depressing. And I don't blame some people because it has been lately. But this is really bad and it's sad. So anyway, I was reading a little bit about this and I was kind of waiting until they came up with some other things that were developing. It's still developing live updates. 11 dead in the shooting at Pittsburgh synagogue. So it's not only 11 that have been killed, but a gunman opened fire at a synagogue in the Squirrel Hill neighborhood of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, killing 11 people, injuring 6, including 4 police officers. So Yahoo News correspondent Matt Stroud is in on the scene, providing continuous updates following the live blog below. And so you can see all of the chaos that's going on in the city of Pittsburgh. Law enforcement officers secured the scene where the multiple people were shot Saturday, October 27, 2018, at a Tree of Life congregation in Pittsburgh, Squirrel Hill neighborhood. Okay. Notice that a lot of these shootings are happening in places where people are gathered together that you would think these places are not going to be hit with this type of carnage. But this is where people are most vulnerable. Churches, schools, in places like if you're at concerts or stadiums, when you would think I'm going somewhere where it's safe or I'm going somewhere to have fun, this is where people are hurt and hit the hardest. So the latest on the shooting, 11 people are dead, 6 are injured, including 4 responding officers. The gunman, his name is Robert Bowers, a 46-year-old Pittsburgh area resident, was taken into custody and transported to a hospital with unspecified injuries. The Tree of Life Synagogue, where the shooting had took place, is located in Pittsburgh in an affluent area called Squirrel Hill neighborhood. There was a baby naming ceremony that was underway at the time of the killings. None of those killed were children. President Trump condemned the killing, saying that the attack was a hate crime. It's a terrible, terrible thing what's going on with the hate in our country, Trump told reporters, and something has to be done. The president also suggested an armed guard at the synagogue might have prevented the tragedy. Before a previously scheduled speech in Indianapolis, Trump called the shooting a wicked act. The vile, hate-filled poison of anti-Semitism must be condemned and confronted everywhere and anywhere it appears, the president added. And so that's pretty much an update. You see some women here reading from a prayer book near the site of the mass shooting at the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania on Saturday. And they're embracing each other and kind of consoling each other about the incident. And so as I was looking at some of the comments and some of the things that this guy named Christopher Wilson was stating about the FBI agent, I guess he's somebody that must live there. So he's talking about it. And so it goes on to talk about Pennsylvania Governor Tom Wolf addresses the media at the press briefing in Pittsburgh on Saturday about the incident as well. U.S. Attorney Scott Brady charges are his condolences to the victims and the Jewish community, stating that the anti-Semitism has no place in Pennsylvania, and the attack on the community of faith is an attack on all communities of faith, and adds that he is in awe of the bravery of the first responding and law enforcement. And so So I'm going down looking at all of this. The comments keep flowing, and here's the picture of the guy that did the killings. His name, he's 46 years of age, and he looks a lot older than 46. So his name is Robert Bowers, Pennsylvania driver's license. This is his photo. And it stated that he was 46. So I guess this is a comment from a Christopher Wilson. So he says, it's just unfortunate that this asshole decided to live here. And so it says the resident who lives near the alleged shooter's apartment complex, Terrence Hollerns, 63, said it was as much as a surprise to us as it was to anyone else that the shooter lived here. So this is not an area that has a lot of problems. And they said it was affluent. So these affluent, I'm gathering people who are educated and they're making a lot of income, and they live like upper middle class or well off, wealthy people. And so this right here is what got my attention. Do you see this photo? This was posted. Robert Bowers posted this photo on social media saying that this was his Glock family. So he posted guns. And so it says that he has a history of being of posting anti-Semitism comments. So if you see somebody posting guns and then he's outright posting how he hates certain groups, shouldn't this ring the alarm bells of these social media people that, hey, we got somebody potentially here that could be deadly, to others, especially in a protected group? So the statement from Pennsylvania Governor Tom Wolf: the shooting in Pittsburgh this morning is an absolute tragedy. I have spoken with local leaders and my administration, and the Pennsylvania State Police will provide any resources to assist local law enforcement and first responders. And so these senseless acts of violence are not who we are as Americans. And my thoughts right now are focused on the victims and their families and making sure law enforcement has every resource they need. We must all pray and hope that no more loss of life. There is no more loss of life, but we have been saying this is one too many and far too long. Dangerous weapons are putting our citizens in harm's way, and the aftermath of this tragedy, we must come together and take action to prevent tragedies such as these in the future. And so we cannot accept this violence as normal. And so there is approximately 16,984 comments on this situation alone. Now, this is what struck me as odd. If he can post this, but see, this is the thing that is messed up, that this crazy guy, he's posting this on social media and nobody does nothing. They see that he has an obsession with hating a particular group, but he's posting at the same time, posting his guns. Nobody says anything, but why? And yeah, I'm gonna say it. I feel like a lot of times, let's be a little bit more descriptive as to why I'm saying this, because I don't think people realize. I feel like when white people do crime, they can get away with it because they're white. And how do they get away with it? Because people don't normally look at these people as being criminals. When they see guys like this, they think, oh, he looks like he's a nice guy. He's not going to hurt anybody. He's white. He looks like he's got a career, good head on his shoulders. But yet he's posting things stating who he hates. And this is his Glock family. Yeah. Now, let's suppose this guy was not white. He was black. And, he was talking about how he hated a particular group. Let's say he hated somebody or whatever, and he posted guns like this. What do you think the reaction would have been if he was on social media posting guns like this, and this guy was no longer white, he was black? He wouldn't have never, ever made it to that church. He wouldn't have never made it. Let's just be honest. They would have done something right away if he was not white. When he's white, it's the same thing like the Vegas guy. that went into the Mandalay Bay and shot all those white people from that room. How did he get the guns in it? How did he get the guns in there? Because he's white and he doesn't look like he's going to hurt anybody. People assume that because he's white, he's not a criminal. But I bet if he had a bunch of heavy bags and he was black and he's carrying up to a hotel, security is going to be all over that ass. You won't even step foot in the casino, let alone to the hotel room with a bunch of guns. That man was going in and out of that casino just carrying guns. How many guns did he have? Let's go. Let's take a look. How many guns did the Vegas shooter have? Let's see here. 47 guns, loaded high capacity magazines found in Vegas shooter. Okay. 47 guns were found. 47 guns, loaded, all loaded, high capacity magazines found in the Vegas shooter's hotel suite in the Nevada and his Nevada home. Okay, so let's see. Okay, the Mandalay Bay. All right, yeah. Let's talk about this because this right here is a pattern. It is. It's a pattern. 47 guns were found in the suspected Las Vegas shooter's hotel suite and 2 homes. Police said Tuesday night at the press conference, multiple loaded high-capacity magazines were found in the hotel suite at the Mandalay Bay Resort and Casino, law enforcement sources have said on Monday. Among the guns and the ammunition that the police found in the rooms were being used by gunman Stephen Paddock and were some high-powered rifles considered capable of penetrating police armor. There were also some handguns in the suite. Police said the guns were purchased in Nevada, California, Utah, and Texas. And so additionally, the ammunition indicates that the shooting, which left 58 people dead and injured over 500 people, could have been worse. So had the police not intervened when they did, police believe that Paddock killed himself shortly before the police reached him. A modified bump stock rifle was found, which allows a gun to simulate rapid automatic gunfire. Law enforcement officials are still in the process of examining firearms to determine if they were capable of firing automatically. So the officials said Paddock had a camera mounted in the room, apparently to record himself. At a separate location, authorities found tannerite. It's an explosive used to target practice, sources said. Earlier, Clark County Sheriff Joseph Lombardo said that there were at least 10 rifles in the suite, but noted that the investigation was still underway. Now, what did Trump say? Trump calls the Las Vegas shooting an act of pure evil. He goes into his song and dance like he is at this thing. And it says, we'll meet the victim's family. He said he'll meet with the victim's family. Nevada's gun laws are like the wild, wild west, law enforcement expert says. So Bureau of Alcohol and Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosive released a statement announcing that it's currently conducting an urgent trace on firearms recovered from the scene in the Las Vegas shooting. So the shooting is the deadliest in modern U.S. history. This is the Mandalay Bay, and you can see that hole in the window where the shooter was. Drapes billowed out of the window. The Mandalay Bay Resort and Casino, October 2nd, 2017, on the Las Vegas Strip following the deadly shooting. The gun shop owner, the Mesquite in Mesquite confirmed ABC News that he sold guns to Paddock, but he did not specify how many and whether they were the ones that were used in the shooting. And so we mourn this tragedy, and our thoughts and prayers are with the family of the lost and injured, that lost and had injured people in their family. And so Christopher M. Sullivan, the general manager of Guns and Guitars, Inc., said this. So Mr. Paddock was a customer and purchased firearms from our store. However, all necessary background checks and procedures were followed as required by local, state, and federal law. So they said they went ahead and they did their background checks on him. But can you background check people who have hate and bias? Where are they going to tell you they hate Black people, or they hate Jewish people, or they hate women? Are they going to tell you they hate certain groups? No, they're not going to tell you that in a background check. But some people will tell you that when they post it. That's if they mention it. So you don't know which one of these wackos are going to get their hands on guns and start shooting up the place. So there are signs, however, there are signs that something's wrong with the person, especially when this guy that we're talking about in this other incident here, where 11 dead in Pittsburgh, this guy, he posted that he hated certain people. He posted it on his Facebook page, and then he had the audacity to post the guns. Why didn't anybody stop him before it got to this point? Why? Because just like they let this guy get into the hotel in Vegas with all those guns, 47 guns, high-powered rifles, he was able to get into this place and kill all those people, and 500 were injured. And two, they said the guy had money. You know, he didn't look like he was going to hurt anybody, and he's white. Can a Black man get into the Mandalay Bay with 47 guns and 10 of those rifles are high powered, and he's got bump stock, and he's got a history of going into the gun shop and buying all those? Can he get into a place like that? Hell no, he can't. Let's just stop lying about this. Certain people can get away with shit that others can't. And so you seen this guy was bold. He was emboldened. He showed people who he hated. He posted it, and then he posted guns, and nobody did anything about it. So I'm going to let this video go because this is frustrating, because the reason why is because America and people here want to pretend like, watch, they say, oh, he had mental illness. He knew what he was doing. He knew what he was doing. I don't want to hear the mental illness thing. You can be crazy and racist at the same time. You can't. There's no way. This man got in there because he's white, and he was able to get away with it. He posted his guns online. He was able to do what he wanted to do and say what he wanted to say, and nobody said not a damn thing about it. And that's why this tragedy happened, because people in their wicked minds, somehow, and twisted minds, believe that other people are criminals while others can just get a pass. They can do whatever the fuck they want because they have this privilege that they don't look like they're killers. They don't look like they're shooters. He has a respectable job. He's in an affluent part of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. See, he blends right in with the rest of the group because he's white. Let this person have been Black posting this kind of stuff online and see what would have happened. He wouldn't have been able to kill nobody. They would have, soon as he had said anything that remotely sounded like he was going to go do some harm, Trump would have had somebody come out and arrest him at his doorstep. He wouldn't be able to make it out the door to get to anybody to do any harm. But let somebody like this post all this hate online, and he's able and allowed to get away with it scot-free. And what is their excuse? Oh, he had mental illness. Something happened to him. You know, he lost his mother when he was a kid. I'm just saying as an example, they always make excuses for these people. They never catch the actual criminals. They just accuse other people who aren't criminals of being criminals, and real criminals tend to get away with crime. These ones right here tend to get away with it. And they're easily able to get to who they want to get to because they don't look like they're going to hurt anybody. Because in the minds of people, they think these people are safe. What's safe about a guy like this posting guns online like this and saying he straight out said this was his Glock family? Why would you allow him to do that on what social media let him get away with that? That is my question. Who let him get away with that and not sound the alarms? Uh-oh, we have another one. He said this is his Glock family, and he's got a history of posting anti-Semitic comments. And so he could potentially, they're so busy worried about catching, what did they call that? Black identity conspirators or whatever. What do they say? Black identity people. And hey, let me tell you something. I've seen most of these shooters have been white. Most of them. I'm not saying you won't get black people that are kind of off. But what I'm saying, most of the shooters that we've been seeing that have been creating some of the stuff, some of the major damage have relatively been, most of them have been white. Now, when it's young black kids or when it's some black person out of the blue that's got mental issues and, like the DC shooter or something, like we're not expecting it. We're wondering, well, what happened to him, But this right here is starting to become a horrible pattern. And what's bad about it is that social media does nothing. When you report these people, let's say if I was on Twitter and I saw this guy in his face and he said mean things about women, or he said mean things about Jewish people, and then he said, this is my Glock family. And if my black self post, okay, I'm gonna sound the alarms. Something's wrong with this guy. I think he's crazy. He's a shooter. He's, a potential shooter, or he's somebody that could do some harm. Do you know they won't listen to a goddamn thing that I say? They won't do shit. They wait till the last freaking minute, and then you see this shit on the news that he's killed people. He was allowed to post his shit online freely and nobody did nothing about it. Whoever the families are, that's who I'd be going after right now. You saw he was like this. What the fuck were you doing? What were you thinking? Why did you let him get away with this? Okay, that's my question. Anyway, I'm going to let this video go. I'm not surprised that this is happening. And what else I can say about this is that Donald Trump gives all of these comments about condemning killing, but you notice when the Kroger Market thing happened, I don't even think he said anything about the 2 black people that were murdered and the people injured in that. Yeah, I didn't hear him say anything. Maybe some people did. I didn't hear him sending condolences out to the dead black people either. He jumps right in and says something about this article. He says something about this because, these are white people that got killed. And so he has to hurry up and run to their defense. And I'm not saying that's the wrong thing to do, but what I'm saying is wrong with this picture here is the 2 things. Social media let this guy post all this hate, and he posted his Glock family online. The other thing that is wrong is that Donald Trump, he hurries up and says all this stuff about all these people, and I'm assuming they're white. Here you had 2 black people that just got gunned down in Kroger Market, and he doesn't say shit about that. Okay, so I'm going to let this go. You see the unfairness in this. The reason why this stuff keeps happening is because of that. He's talking about getting rid of hate when all he's doing is really contradicting himself. The president. You say you don't want hate, Well, you're rallying around people that look like you, and then people that don't look like you that face the same fate as these people did. You said nothing about that to address that hate. Okay, I'm gonna go. Thanks for listening.